Your greatest adventure is always around the next corner. Your perfect ride for cruising over snow, across the beach, or through gnarly trails. This Juno Fat Bike with 26-inch wheels lets you exercise and enjoy the great outdoors all year round. A strong and rugged aluminum frame with a rigid fork makes the Juno ideal for going off the beaten path no matter the season. The Shimano rear derailleur and Easy Fire trigger shifters click seamlessly through 21 gears, while dual mechanical disc brakes bring you to a confident stop in both good and inclement weather. To handle every type of terrain, including snow-covered surfaces and sand, it's outfitted with oversized 4-inch wide knobby tires on durable yet lightweight alloy rims. It also features a reliable 3-piece alloy crank for easy maintenance, as well as an easy-to-adjust threadless headset. Equipped with 26-inch wheels, the Juno can accommodate riders age 14 and up, measuring approximately 5 foot 4 inches to 6 foot 2 inches tall. Get ready for the ride of your life. There's nothing you can't do on a Mongoose.
Size data is shown on the tire sidewall. Before mounting or removing a wheel, read the wheel manufacturer's instructions and get to know the release mechanism. Check the state of the rim and the rim strip. The rim strip must completely cover the rim base. When mounting the tire, make sure that nothing gets inside the tire, sand, stones, etc., that could damage the tube. For this reason, it's good to always place the tire and the wheel on a clean surface. Pay attention to the tire's specified direction of rotation, as indicated on the tire sidewall. Press one side of the tire completely onto one side of the rim. This should be possible on each side of the rim without tools. Keep in mind that tubes also age. For that reason, you should mount a new tube when you mount a new tire. Unscrew the valve cap and the lock ring from the valve. Turn on the valve nut and press it onto the tube. Inflate the tube slightly so that it takes a round shape. Close the valve nut. Place the valve in the valve hole of the rim, but do not yet fix the valve in place with the retaining nut. Insert the tube completely into the tire. Watch that the tube does not crease at any point. Starting at a point opposite the valve, press the loose tire side over the flange of the rim. Make sure that the tube is not pinched between the tire and the rim at any point. Continue pressing the tire over the edge of the rim, moving along at the same pace to both sides of the starting point. If the mounting by hand doesn't work, you will have to use Continental tire levers to get the sides of the tire over the flange of the rim. Check the valve. If it is not standing straight up, you have to pull a tire bead out of the rim again and rearrange the tube. To enable the tire and the tube to settle on the rim free of stress, inflate the tire to half the maximum inflation and flex it back and forth over the full circumference of the wheel. Then press the whole valve back into the rim with an energetic thrust and pull it back out again. Open the valve nut. Inflate the tube with a floor pump to the maximum tire inflation pressure, which is shown on the tire sidewall. Check the seating of the tire by examining the characteristic line above the rim flange. The characteristic line should be evenly spaced from the rim on both sides of the tire over its entire circumference. To adjust the tire for optimum use, taking into account the weight of the cyclist and the surface cycled on, you can reduce the operating pressure of the tire from maximum inflation pressure. There is a list in the FAQs under www.conti-bicycletires.com. Never inflate your tire beyond the maximum permitted pressure. The tire could pop off the rim or blow out while you're cycling. Insufficient pressure can cause pinching of the tire. For this reason, you should watch that the indicated inflation pressure range is not exceeded or undercut when using the tire. Continental recommends that you always check the tire pressure in your bike before setting off on your ride. Close finally the valve nut. Check before the onward journey if the braking surfaces are still free of grease and other lubricants after the installation. Check whether the brake pads come into contact with the brake surfaces. Check to make sure the wheels are securely fastened.
Hey, it's Chris at the Bell Garage. Today we're talking about changing your tire. Whether you've got a flat tire and you need a new inner tube, or the tread on your tire is running low and you want to replace the tire itself, you only need a few tools. A set of tire levers and an air pump, and then a replacement tube or a replacement tire. If you need to figure out which one's right for your bike, check out our videos on understanding tubes or understanding tires. The first thing you're going to want to do is make sure that all of the air is out of the tire before you start with the removal. Once you've done that, take your tire levers and you can get started. Each end of the tire lever serves a specific purpose. One end has a small lip which is made for going between the rim and the tire itself. The other end has a hook which connects to the spokes. So take the lipped end of the tire iron, push your tire back from the rim, insert the tire iron, and bend it down, hooking the hook around one of the spokes. Then take your second tire lever, again take the lipped end, push the tire back a few inches away from the first lever, insert it, and again bend down. What you'll want to do is continue moving along the rim, pulling the tire off the rim until you're able to just slide the lever and remove the rest of the tire. So once you have one side of the tire fully removed from the rim, go ahead and find the valve and pull that through the hole. You can then remove the entire tube just by pulling on it. If you're just replacing the tube, you can leave the tire on the rim, but I'm going to show you how to replace the tire as well. If you can remove the tire by hand, that's great, but if you need to use the tire levers for a little bit of extra help, you can do that as well. Now, if you're doing this repair because you got a flat, you want to make sure that whatever caused that flat is no longer going to be an issue. So check your rim and make sure there's nothing sharp or any thorns stuck inside of the rim. If you're going to be keeping the same tire, you're going to want to check that as well. The reinstallation process is the exact opposite of what we just did. You'll first want to put half of the tire back onto the rim. So start by putting one section on and just slowly working your way around, putting one half of the tire back onto the rim. So now we've got half of the tire back on. If you're just replacing your tube, this is where you pick back up. So what we're going to do now is put a little bit of air into the tube just to make it easier for the reinstall process. Take the valve cap off of your valve and set that aside and put a little bit of air into the tube. So you've got some air in your tube, but by no means is it fully inflated. The first thing you want to do is take the valve stem and feed that back through the hole in the rim. Next, you want to tuck the partially inflated tube into the tire that's still halfway off the rim. Before you put the other half of the tire on, you want to make sure that the inner tube isn't twisted or crimped inside of the tire. Before putting the other half of the tire back on, you might want to put the valve cap onto the valve just to make sure it doesn't slide back through the hole while you're working the tire onto the rim. So now you're ready to begin inserting the other half of the tire into the rim. What you'll want to do is go down to the ground just so you have somewhere to rest the rim as you start to insert the tire into it. So grab the tire and with your fingers, push it back into the rim. What you'll want to do is hold one spot stationary and work with your other hand around the rim to get the tire seated properly. As you get around to the final section of tire, you might need to use one of the tire levers just to work that last bit on. If you still can't get the tire on, you might want to consider letting a small amount of air out just to make it easier to push the tire back onto the rim. Okay, so once you have the tire back onto the rim, you want to do a quick visual check and make sure that the inner tube is not sticking out from under the tire and pinch between the tire and the rim. Then, go around and just push down on the tire all the way around the whole wheel just to make sure the tire is properly seated into the rim before you reinflate. Before you begin reinflating the tire, just have a look at the sidewall and see what PSI the tire should be inflated to. In this case, it's anywhere between 40 and 65 PSI. Then use the gauge on your pump or a tire gauge to make sure you're inflating to the proper pressure. So now we can reinflate the tire. It can be tricky because you don't want to push the valve back into the rim. So what you'll want to do is take your thumb and push down the tire just above the valve. Then go ahead and reconnect your pump. Once you've done that, you can start pumping. While you're pumping, watch the tire itself and see if there's any areas that are not inflating properly or that are bulging. That's going to indicate that you have either a twist or a crimp in the tube itself. So there we go, we got 50 PSI, which is right in the range that's recommended. We can stop pumping right there. Disconnect the pump, put your valve cap back on, and you're good to go. So there we go, that's how you change a tube or a tire on your bike. If you have any questions as to which tube or tire are right for your bike, check out the other videos, Understanding Tubes and Understanding Tires.